Hello friends, and welcome to Ariel's Twilight Years, how to be a really old model. This is an extra video I'm making this month because something has happened that's so dramatic I feel like I kind of have to talk about it. For those of you who are not aware, a platform called OnlyFans has become very large in the world of adult modelling, fetish modelling and independent freelance internet modelling, because it's basically allowed models to create their own website within the platform where they can sell content directly to customers. Now, the business model itself isn't really as new as perhaps people might sometimes think. Photographers and models have been using pay sites as a way to make a living from their work for years. My husband runs a bondage pay site and has done for 20 years, and a lot of my employers either used to run a pay site or still run a pay site now. So OnlyFans has really democratized that process somewhat, because instead of paying a web designer or building a website yourself, you simply sign up to OnlyFans and then you make of it what you want to. So over the last 5 years, the number of models in my acquaintance using OnlyFans has skyrocketed. The number of producers and photographers trying their hand at making money from OnlyFans has also increased, and as the scale of the business has increased, the amount of criticism of the business has also increased, as I guess you'd expect. It started being, the mainstream media started paying attention to OnlyFans and similar websites, and a lot of stories about it have been quite sensational, because there is the occasional person who will make £30,000 a month from their OnlyFans if they're just very successful at it. So that's an interesting story, of course, and so we've seen quite a lot of stuff in mainstream media, a lot of documentaries, a lot of articles in print. Now, I started using OnlyFans myself back in 2017, and just to quickly give you some context for what I'm about to say, for most of the last 3 years, I've had enough members to pay my mortgage. So I've been making about $1,000 a month, and I've been really happy with it. I was updating once a day with basically a video diary of my life, and I had about 60 fans most of the time, and it paid my mortgage, but no more. Then coronavirus lockdown happened, and I had more time, so I started updating more times a day. I started to put more effort, more energy into what I did, and I also raised my levels, which is something I'd wanted to do for a while, and it gave me the opportunity to do that. This has, for me, been very successful. It's quadrupled my membership, so now I've got over 200 members. I'm in the top 2.2% of OnlyFans creators at the moment, and it's making me about $4,000 to $4,500 a month. So a lot more than I was making, and I guess just about enough to live on if I wanted to. So I'm not one of the massive success stories, but almost 98% of the creators on there are making less money than I am. So I guess at least I'm qualified to talk about how to make yourself somewhat successful on the platform. However, what I actually want to talk about today is the great big drama that has suddenly gone everywhere internationally, it seems, because an actress called Bella Thorne, who I was not aware of, I think she's an ex-Disney actress and she's only 22, she joined OnlyFans. Now, her story is that she joined OnlyFans in an attempt to try to destigmatise sex work, and frankly, I am not particularly suspicious of that. That seems quite likely. Maybe she wanted some publicity. That doesn't seem awful. I want some publicity. Everyone in show business wants publicity. And she made a huge amount of money in 24 hours, either $1 million or $2 million. I've heard various accounts, lots anyway. She then did what many of us do to make more money. She sent out a pay-per-view. I send out pay-per-view videos every week on my OnlyFans. I write a detailed description and I put up some preview pictures so people know what they're buying, and I charge $5. Bella Thorne, I believe, charged $200 for a picture that, according to reports, she said was nude, and according to some people, it was not actually a nude picture. Now, I want to say at this point, unless you are Bella Thorne or one of the members of her OnlyFans who bought this pay-per-view, unless we are those people, I guess we don't actually know for sure which happened. If she lied to her members and they bought this pay-per-view image only to find out it wasn't as advertised. Obviously that's fraudulent and they should get their money back, which I believe OnlyFans has done. So I can't comment specifically on whether she was wrong and whether OnlyFans were wrong and whether OnlyFans were wrong for how they've dealt with it. But there's been a massive backlash on several different levels. First of all, the community of creators already using OnlyFans. There was quite a lot of anger and fury, in fact, from creators. Now, the first I was aware of this was when she joined the platform, before she sent out this potentially fraudulent pay-per-view. She joined the platform and she made all this money. At that point, I was envious, but I was pleased for her. I was pleased for her, I was pleased for the platform, because I figure that the more money they're making, the more they'll stick around, and hopefully the better they will make the platform and the service. So there was a bit of a backlash, with some people saying that she didn't belong on OnlyFans because she was an actress. And I thought, oh, there aren't any rules for who belongs where. People change career paths all the time. We accept actors writing cookbooks and Olympic athletes becoming actors. We know as a society that having success in one field will often translate to you're having a leg up if you join another industry. This is very, very normal. If I was a more successful YouTuber, I'd find it easier to get a book deal. And I think we should allow people to change tack in their career. So I didn't think that was very fair, because I thought it's not like she was born a Disney actress. She wasn't born famous. She's achieved that level of fame, and then if she chooses to leverage it to succeed in a slightly different field, she's earned that right by becoming successful in another field. So I didn't resent her in the least. I was a bit worried that perhaps OnlyFans, if mainstream celebrities started using OnlyFans, I guess they might become less receptive to there being people selling sexy content the way I do and the way a lot of us do on there. But I also see that progress happens, and if OnlyFans become less friendly towards our side of the industry, there'll be other platforms that come up that we can transfer over to. So I did think that the negative reaction against her at that point was quite unfair. When, however, we discovered that this pay-per-view brouhaha had occurred, I felt somewhat less sympathetic, because if indeed she did lie to her customers to get them to buy something that wasn't as advertised, obviously that's wrong. So I want to just unpack a little bit of the negative reactions we've seen, because I was surprised to see other women, sex workers, models, fetish models, people who sell sexy content. I was surprised to see the resentment of another woman earning money. And I think the resentment probably quite often comes from fear, because I guess it's easy to become territorial over any avenue where you're succeeding, where you're making money, or you're trying to succeed. I guess it can be quite scary to see someone come up and appear to leapfrog over you, to overtake you, to get more success more quickly. But in my career, I have definitely come to the conclusion that the people we see as our competition often really aren't. I don't think someone who wants to spend money on Bella Thorne, I doubt they would have ever been in the market to join my OnlyFans, because we're such a different product, I imagine. And even my close friends in the industry who have a lot of similarities with me, like fabulous Sophia Smith and Natalia Forrest, Zoe Page, Faye Taylor. I love them and I think their work is fantastic. Do I feel like they're direct competition for me? Not really, because I think we help feed the appetite for each other. Someone who has had a great experience joining Sophia's OnlyFans might discover that we're friends and decide to join mine as well. And even the people who look very like me, of whom there aren't very many because I'm very weird looking, even they, I've had a few models in my career who have turned up looking not dissimilar to me and with similar skills. And it used to really scare me, I'm going to be honest. I think, oh no, they're going to take all the work, the photographers are going to work with them instead. And what I actually discovered is the photographers worked with them as well. They book us together. So I try whenever I can to not fall into that particular trap of feeling scared that my success is going to be taken from me by someone else's success, because I really don't see that that's been borne out by at least my experience of the modelling industry. And I think one of the things that you have to be good at to be a good OnlyFans creator is you have to be able to project yourself, like the special thing that makes you you. That tends to be, I think, what members are looking for. They're not just looking for as many pictures of tits as possible. I think they're buying interaction, just like when you subscribe to someone's YouTube channel. You're doing it because you're interested in them or the subject that they specifically talk about. And the existence of, for example, another model talking about model safety, I don't find it threatening. So I found it interesting, and I was sorry that people saw it as such a negative, territorial kind of issue. I totally saw why other models, sex workers, similar, felt very threatened by the apparent fraudulent activity, because as a result, OnlyFans appears to have changed some of their regulations. They claim that they were going to change them anyway, and it wasn't specifically a response to the Bella Thorne situation. Obviously, I have no way of knowing whether that's true or not, but some of the changes have impacted upon the creators on the platform. For example, the payout takes longer from some countries now, so you don't get your money quite as quickly, which for people with cash flow issues will be a problem. There, I believe, is a limit for tips, although I must say, as a creator myself, I've not noticed that yet. I've received tips of over $100 since this all went down. It all seems fine, so I don't know if that's not actually true or whether it's being phased in or whether it's just for new creators. I don't know. And I do understand being scared if you think that the way you pay your mortgage is about to evaporate. So I don't mean to be overly critical of the fear, but I think I would like to address the hate, because it appears that Bella Thorne, like, she's only 22, and when I look back at how clueless I was, if I'd been running an OnlyFans at 22, I hope I wouldn't have defrauded anyone, but I might well have done things really, really wrong. I've seen quite a lot of resentment of how much she was charging, which was $200 apparently for this pay-per-view. But it's very rare to have an industry that's so unregulated, and the delight of it is that you get to charge what you can charge. So I charge $5 for my pay-per-views because that's what my little internal market will stand. If someone else can charge $200 for a picture, and if people are happy to pay that, then I really don't see it's anyone else's business. I think in an industry where we tend to experience a lot of judgment, I think it stands us in really good stead if we manage not to judge each other too quickly. I don't know why Bella Thorne charged $200, but she won't have been the first person to try it, and I really think it's up to you. And since we're unregulated, we make the rules, and that is one of the things that makes it such a lovely industry to be part of. Obviously, I do not want customers exploited. You know, I don't want anyone saying it's $2 and then taking $200 out of their credit card without their knowledge. But I do think some freedom from creators in the market to make up their own rules is very appealing to me. The other negative reaction, though, which I guess I didn't see coming, is the negative reaction from people outside the industry. A lot of them men. So I am active on various model photography forums and boards, and I saw a very negative reaction from men, and it seemed to often come down to a kind of how dare she make so much money sort of attitude. And I mean, I know a few people at the top of the OnlyFans hierarchy are making a fantastic amount of money, but the negativity about that just seems quite unfair. I mean, there are people in our society who make huge amounts of money. Seems like Premiership football players earn vast amounts of cash, and I don't want to judge them for it. I don't know anything about the economics of that world, and people from the outside shaming and blaming models for potentially making a lot of money on this platform. It is an interesting thing, because I wonder if rather than an issue of territoriality, it's an issue of wanting to keep women in their place, because in most industries, women are still not earning as much as men. We're not getting to the highest positions in lots of companies. And modelling is one of the few industries in this world where being a woman really pays. And I honestly think there is some resentment of that from some men, and especially from some men who are photographers of some description. I think that seeing women making money from self-shot work when they've struggled to make money from their own model photography is quite painful to some photographers. And I can see why, because it's horrible to be discriminated against basically for your gender. But models, female models, are at a huge advantage being able to shoot themselves, keep all the money, produce in-house on their own. It's a very forgiving business model. It's lovely from the point of view of someone for whom it's working, and I can see being left out in the cold as a traditional male producer who can't do that, can't compete. I can see why it's painful, but the sort of slightly slut-shaming resentment of these women selling their tits online, I kind of think, yeah, but wouldn't you be doing that if you could? There has to be some artistry to this. You can't just keep selling the same kind of pictures of your body over and over again. You really have to be quite resourceful to keep updating OnlyFans with content that keeps your members interested, especially in the long term. So the sort of how dare that Bella Thorne charge so much seemed in my mind quite quickly to turn to how dare anyone charge that much, how dare anyone earn this much. And then it quite quickly, in the online debates I was seeing, turned to a suspicion that all these OnlyFans women, all these OnlyFans girls, aren't paying taxes. And I don't know why this happens exactly, but I think it's because it's hard for some people to respect jobs that are very different from theirs. So we hear a lot of, oh, OnlyFans isn't real work, it will be over soon, and then where will you be? Well, where I'll be is I'll be someone who has started a business from scratch before multiple times and will manage to do it again. I'm someone with an entrepreneurial enough spirit to take risks, work with new platforms, get naked. I mean, these are not non-transferable skills, and I do find it quite strange that people see women making money from OnlyFans as this sort of life hack, like they've cheated, they've somehow gamed the system and are making money they don't deserve, and soon they'll have to get a real job, and then where will they be, because everyone will know what their tits look like. I mean, it just doesn't seem to bear that much relation to reality. Someone who's self-employed at 22 may very well go on to be self-employed at 32 and 42 and 52. They're probably never going to need a boss and a corporation to accept them. A lot of us, once we've got the self-employed bug, we kind of stick with it because it's really fun. And once you've got over the fear and got used to the risk of having to find your own money every month, it's kind of addictive. It's not real work thing. Comes up over and over again when people are speaking negatively about OnlyFans creators as well as models generally, I think. And I think, how real do you need it to be? It's making real money. I've got real customers. I have to buy real equipment. I have to have real skills. I take on real risk, not least you slut-shaming me on the internet. It's pretty real. I mean, it's full-time levels of real, and the money is full-time income level of real. I feel like that's real enough for me. The other permutation of this argument is that it's just sex work. And by that argument, if we're going to say that work that's sexy is sex work, which is certainly one description, I'm not going to argue with it. Sometimes I feel like I'm a sex worker, sometimes I don't feel like I'm a sex worker, very much depending on the sort of work I'm doing on that particular day and who I'm doing that work for. But let's assume that posing sexily for my OnlyFans is sex work. By that argument, the photographers who are resenting models for shooting themselves, they're sex workers too. If you're photographing sexy pictures of a model, that is sex work if you're lucky enough to make money from it, just as much as a model photographing herself and selling it. And I do think it's very easy to throw this as an insult at women. It's sex work. All the page 3 photographers are sex workers then. All the editors of lads mags, sex workers too. And it's been interesting to see the gender division in this criticism of people making money from sex, because as far as I've seen so far, no one is accusing the people making money from other people's sexiness as sex work. It's the people who are making money from their own sexiness who are accused of sex work when using it as a negative term. So that's all I want to say. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the wake of the Bella Thorne drama. It might be that a whole load more Hollywood Hollywood stars will turn up on OnlyFans and they might kick all the sexy workers off, I don't know. It might be that it will encourage more people to join from the sex work community and we will get a better platform and better rights as time goes on. But what I do know for sure is that a knee-jerk response of resenting someone else for making money, dismissing their job as not a real job or not real work, and incubating a sense of territoriality about one's own little corner of one's own little industry. I just think all of those things are to be avoided, because if we can love each other, it just feels better. I'm on medication. I've just been given new medication by my doctor for a long-term condition I've got. Makes me love everyone. I mean, not trolls, but everyone else. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Let's be kind, because one thing I'm also sure about is that being Bella Thorne this week must be absolute hell, and I can't imagine working for OnlyFans in their offices can be much fun right now either. I certainly know that I would prefer to be me, shooting my little videos, making my relatively small amount of money and not having anyone shout at me for now. Please don't shout at me. Bye!